European Union negotiators reached a political deal on Sunday to overhaul the bloc's carbon market, cutting planet heating emissions faster and imposing new CO2 costs on fuels used in road transport and buildings from 2027. The EU carbon market requires around 10,000 power plants and factories to buy CO2 permits, while they pollute, a system central to meeting the EU target to cut its net emissions 55% by 2030 compared with 1990 levels. Under the deal agreed by negotiators from the EU countries and the European Parliament, the EU carbon market will be reformed to cut emissions by 62% from 2005 levels by 2030. The plan involves removing 90 million CO2 permits from the system in 2024, 27 million in 2026, and cutting the rate at which the cap on CO2 permits in the system falls to 4.34% from 2024 to 2027 and 4.4% from 2028 to 2030. From 2026 to 2033, the EU will phase out the free CO2 permits it currently gives industries to protect them from foreign competition. Those permits will be wound down as the EU phases in a carbon border tariff designed to prevent domestic firms from being undercut by overseas competitors. After 30 hours of talk that started on Friday, the EU also agreed to launch a new carbon market covering supplies of CO2-emitting fuels used in cars and buildings in 2027. After EU lawmakers resisted including households in the scheme, negotiators agreed several measures to shield citizens from the high CO2 prices. If fuel prices are as high in 2027 as today, the introduction of the carbon market would be delayed to 2028. If its CO2 price hits 45 euros, then extra CO2 permits will be released into the market to attempt to tame prices. The provisional deal still needs to be formally adopted by the European Parliament and the European Council. Expectation of stricter rules already helped send carbon prices to a record 90.22 euro per metric ton this year. Benchmark carbon futures traded in Amsterdam closed at 83.82 euros on Friday, more than 10 times the levels seen 5 years ago. The agreement still needs to be formally endorsed by member states and the parliament to the binding. The EU is leading in the way in climate protection and is demonstrating determination despite all the crisis, German economy minister Robert Habeck from the Greens said in a statement on Sunday. European climate policy ensures that we in the EU walk the path to climate neutrality together, and it sets standards for the implementation of the climate policy worldwide. It is the biggest climate law ever in Europe and some say in the world, said Peter Liese, lead negotiator for the European Parliament, who told that reporters at briefing early Sunday after 29 hours of negotiations. We get a lot of climate, a big amount of CO2 saved, and the lowest possible price. While some provisions of the overhaul were watered down compared to the original proposal as the EU grapples with an unprecedented energy crisis following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the bloc is determined to make the green overhaul the basis of its growth strategy and is set a precedent for other nations and regions in the fight against climate change.